In 1981, Excalibur lit up the screens. The R-rated American-British production had costs of $11 million and made its budget alone in the US 3 times back, was a worldwide success with audiences and critics, and is the embodiment of fantasy movies. The movie deals with the Arthurian legend, based on the 15th century novel Le Mort d'Arthur, which means Arthur's Death by Thomas Malory. In Germany, with a short and handy title, The Story of King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table. At over 1,000 pages, this compilation of French and English Arthurian epic is perhaps the best-known English-language Arthurian literature today, used by many modern authors as a source. I personally recommend the young adult version, King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table by Käthe Recheis. The 250-page book tells in captivating episodes the core stories of the Arthurian and Grail legend. For me personally, a handy reference book. Long ago there was a war for supremacy in the country. Uther Pendragon, who fights with his army against the Duke of Cornwall, gets the magic sword Excalibur from the wizard Merlin, and therefore the legitimacy to be king. But he is seized by violent desire for Duke Cornwall's attractive wife Igraine, and attacks the ducal castle again shortly after. With a deception trick, Merlin ensures that Uther takes the shape of the Duke while he leaves for an attack and enters the castle undetected.
Transform! Now! It's the Duke! The Duke has returned! Open the gate!
Meanwhile, Cornwall falls in battle and Igraine gets impregnated.
My father is dead.
After 9 months, Arthur is born and taken as a reward for the deception trick.
No! What a baby!
While Uther tries to get his son back, he is ambushed in the forest and mortally wounded.
Help me, Ulfilas! Nobody shall have the sword! Nobody shall wield Excalibur but me!
With his last strength, he pushes Excalibur into a rock, from which no one is able to pull it except the once and future king. The British director John Borman, also screenwriter and producer, originally wanted to adapt Tolkien's Lord of the Rings. But due to the technical requirements, lack of financing and problems with the rights holders, he couldn't realize it. For Excalibur, he chose widely unknown actors, now international stars, including Liam Neeson, Helen Mirren, Patrick Stewart and Gabriel Byrne. Costumes and especially armor are very imaginatively designed and not accurate to historical models. This again indicates Excalibur is more of a fantasy than a knight movie. The rooms of the castles, especially the Round Table Hall, are also designed in a detailed and believable way. By contrast, the quality of the architectural design of the buildings from the outside and generally exterior crowds drops immense. The reason was probably the relatively low budget, which allowed neither elaborate matte paintings nor crowd scenes. The brilliant score, mostly composed by Trevor Jones, also includes pieces by Wagner and Karl Orff, majestic and beautiful like the movie itself. It has the same intensity as the Conan soundtrack by Basil Polidoris released 1 year later, the other extraordinary fantasy movie that truly deserves this designation. That Excalibur caught my attention years after its release was coincidental. Back then my girlfriend was more into books and I was more into movies. When I realized that many of her favorite stories were about Middle Ages and King Arthur, Excalibur became something we could both enjoy together. It made her more open for my film hobby and led me to enthusiasm for ancient history, which also included medieval fairs and similar activities. Excalibur is the perfect fantasy movie. The story of love, friendship and betrayal is told with breathtaking force and fast pace, but at the same time it manages to look like an epic painting. Some of the shots are visually so impressive and beautiful you can literally print them out and put them on your wall. Although some characters do not match their source, such as Parzival who finds the Grail, in the original it's Galahad, or the merging of the sword from the lake Excalibur with the sword from the stone. Initially there are different swords. Also the Lady of the Lake plays a much more important role. In the movie she hardly shows up. There are also some new elements in Bowman's version, like Uther as the owner of Excalibur before Arthur, and the concept of the world as a dragon, with man living on its back and whose breath is the mist. Very striking is the use of a primary color that dominates most scenes in an act, at least as long as the dramaturgy allows it. The prehistory, red, fire and flames. The associations with this color, battle, rage and desire. The rise of Arthur, green, nature and spring. The associations are peace, hope and prosperity of the land. The fall and death of Arthur, brown, nature and autumn. Associations, sickness, pestilence and death. Although Merlin plays a crucial role, no sense of identifying with him is established. And frequently expressions in reviews who called Merlin the real subject of the movie are simply wrong. His motivation for his doings is rarely explained. He appears surprisingly and disappears with no explanation. The actual main character is Arthur, whose life is presented in the 3 acts, prehistory, rise and fall. But basically also he stands only for the replacement of the old mythical multiple god religions, polytheism symbolized by Merlin, a wizard with fading powers, and the emergence of the one god religion Christianity, monotheism, here among others represented by the Grail search. The movie is absolutely unique and fortunately the only one with the King Arthur topic. Of course, that was just fantasy wishful thinking by Lord Yapango, who in medieval times went by the name Sir Rant-a-Lot. Why King Arthur is probably rotating in his grave right now, coming soon in the same named retrospective.